You know what I love about that song? Is that song talks about if you want something, you got to do it. You got to do it. And if you do it, guess what? There's a million, infinite number of things you can do. But if you do something different, what do you cause? Change. So today we're going to look at the 10th law of karma. And we go back to the first law. Remember, the first law was what? The law of cause and effect. It is done unto you as you believe. As you sow, you shall reap. You know, using the old Bible to throw out that stuff, it's a good law. It's a good teaching. But we're going to get into the aspect about change, because that's what we're talking about, the law of change today, okay? So let's explore this a little bit. Change is constant. It is forever and ever happening, and it will repeat itself in our lives, how we experience, until we can see it differently, can we embody it differently, or it's going to be the same thing over and over again. This is why sometimes people will be in a relationship, they'll end a relationship and end up in another relationship. It's the same relationship with a different face, because they haven't learned from the change. They haven't gone through a change. They haven't become different to experience differently. So if you're going to be out there as yourself, the same as you've always been, you're going to have that same experience coming back to you over and over again. And it's really easy to tell if that's happening. Just look at your life. And if you're having the same experience over again, you got to say, whoa, time out. I need to do something different. Because if I keep doing what I'm doing, it's not the other person, because the only thing that's constant in my life is me. See, I can be one way with Gene, and one way here, one way here, one way here. But if I'm being the same way, I'm going to attract the same relationships from everyone I come with. I'm going to get the same experience. So I love it. I love when people come to me, you know. I've had a horrific experience with relationships. I'm absolutely just awful. But I just got out of one, and I met the person, and I met him yesterday. I go, really? Well, that's interesting. What have you done to change? Well, I've just grown. I've just matured. No, there's work. You know what the work is? You got to change your subconscious pattern of thought. That's what you got to do. That subconscious pattern of thought is always going. We don't realize it, but we've got these habits in us. These habits that we cannot see until we go back and we examine ourselves, examine what's going on, and then we start building a new habit. We're going to really get into this deeper. A conscious commitment to change is learning from our past experience, and it's the only method of influencing the past. We've got to learn from that experience, and then the past has relevance. If we don't learn from it, the past has no relevance, so why even bother going back there? Unless it's one of those things where you want to relive your high school days of playing football. I was talking with a buddy a month ago, and in high school, this guy was the varsity. You know the varsity guys. Bob, you know the varsity guys. They got the letter jacket. It's got the big, for me, it was the big D on the back for Dearborn. DHS Dearborn High School. Proud graduate. Yeah, class of 69. Where did that come from? I guess I wanted that letter jacket, didn't realize it. But then I realized that he and a group of peers are still living and reliving those days. And I'm saying, wait a second, what's going on now? No, don't you remember when I caught that pass? No. I was busy talking to girls in the stands. You see, the great thing about not being in the football team is all the women were in the stands, and that's where I was. You see, there's an advantage. It's all perspective, you know. I chose, let me go out into the field and let someone beat the living crap out of me, or let me be where all the women are and be loving and flirtatious. Conscious choice. Didn't realize it, but I was pretty smart when I was young. Anyway, remaining in old thoughts and habits and behaviors negate any chance of us advancing ourselves. See, if we're stuck in the past, we can't move forward. That's why so many times relationships are there for a reason and a season. We've outgrown them. And for us to continue, we've got to let it go so that we can move forward. Sometimes we don't have to let it go. It depends on how we built the relationship. How has that relationship evolved? In order to move forward, we must accept the past. We must accept it. We can't bury it. We can't repress it. We have to accept it, and then we learn from it, and we live the changes from that so we can live our desired outcome. So I put a lot of bullets up there, right? This is what I want to talk about. When we change, everything around us has to change. And here's the kicker that goes with it. And people around us may not like it. This one is something we can talk about forever and ever and ever. Because think about this. You cannot remain still. You cannot remain stagnant. Because in every moment, you're taking a new breath. So you're not the same. In every moment, millions and millions of cells are dying and being replaced. So you're not the same. There is no such thing as remaining stagnant. It's a mind idea that where we froze in a concept, but the fact is we're always changing. Now, if we're changing and we're surrounded by other beings who are always changing, some people don't want to change in the way we're going. And so what are people going to do? If they don't like the direction we're going to go, what do? They criticize us. They try to draw us back in. They try to play the, you're a part of my clan gig, the clan gig. Come back to my clan. Come back to this. If you're in a relationship, no, this relationship is good. It's good. Come back to it. This is where we were comfortable. This is where we worked well. Wait a second. It did work well. It was great yesterday. But what about today? See, to really live, you have to embrace change in every moment and realize not only are you embracing change, but you've got to be able to see change is happening everywhere. It's happening all around you. And so the idea happens is that I hear so many times my peers are all retiring. From high school, from college, even ministers, everyone that's my age is retiring. And I'm saying, so what are you going to do now? Well, I'm going to retire. Well, what are you going to do now? I'm going to retire. Well, what does that mean? Where are you going to take your creative energy? Where are you going to grow? How are you going to change? How are you going to express yourself? Where are you going to give your gift in the world? You see, you were meant to be a creative being. You weren't meant to stop creating any time. You're meant to create with your dying breath. You're not meant to remain stagnant and be still and veg. Vegging is when you're young and you're smoking weed and you're puffing on it and you're vegging. That's vegging, and that doesn't serve all that much because after a while, vegging becomes old and you become fat. You want to know why you become fat? Because if you're smoking the ganja, you're going to be eating the food. I was young once. I ate a lot of food. 11:30 at night, where are you going? You're going to the Whoppers or Burger King. 3 Whoppers. Do you know how much 3 Whoppers is? 3 Whoppers is like a Whopper and a Whopper and it's like that much Whopper. I've done that. I regret that now. I'm a vegan. But I used to eat the Whopper, and boy, when I was buzzed, I could eat a lot of food. We would go, back then they didn't have a Golden Corral. We had the Swedish buffet or something like that. And 5 of us guys one day decided to go. And we were quite in a state. And we went in and we demolished the buffet. I mean, there was no food in this whole buffet, the 5 of us. Now, I was the smallest one. And at that time, I was 6'1 3/4. I'm not that anymore. I've shrunk. I'm 6'1 1/2 now. I've lost that 1/4 inch. Damn. And these other guys were 6'5". They were Bob's size. 6'5", 6'4", 6'6", burly. And we could go in and we could do some eating. And we would come in and we would just take over the place. But what happened was, when we did that, we weren't very conscious. We were really caught up in what? Race consciousness or human consciousness or collective consciousness? Because we were caught up in the idea, well, if you get a buzz on, you got to go eat your face off. We didn't think about the consequences of what it was like we were going to feel like later, and we all felt like heck, and 2 of the individuals got sick. Sissies. I can say that now, can't I? I wish they were here. I'd have them stand up for you. Anyway, but the idea is, I know that the hardest thing that we can do is to be ourselves. That is the hardest thing we can do in this world today, because the world doesn't want us to be unique. The world wants us to fit into a box. And I'm truly, truly engaged and centered in this idea of being free. Do you want to be free? Wait a second. Do you really want to be free? I really can't tell. Have you been smoking the ganja? Is there like a big old pipe out there that I'm not aware of and you're all sedated? Do you want to be free? Thank you. My God, that's the underlying value that every human being on the planet has more than any other value in the world. It's to be free. And this beautiful young lady here, you're a teenager, are you not?
Yes, sir.
14. And do you want to be free?
Yes.
And why do you want a car?
To drive around.
So you can be free. And do you want to listen to your mother all the time? No. Damn, yes, I love her. This girl's going to go places because she knows that freedom is who she wants to be. Now we've got to become 14 again. We've got to become rebels and say, okay, what is it in me that wants to change and be the uniqueness that I am? And am I willing to pay that price by adjusting all my thinking, all my feeling, all my acting, and who I'm associating with? Because you certainly don't want to associate with people that put you in a box. Because if they put you in a box, you're going to feel confined and you're going to be miserable in that box. You want to be outside the box so that you can express. I've said this 1,000 times. I'm going to give my wife kudos again, because the way we have stayed married for 44 and a half plus years is she has given me freedom. That's the biggest gift Jean has ever given me, and for that I am eternally grateful. Because I got to be me, and I got to go through all of the steps of becoming the me I am now, and they weren't always pleasant from her perspective. From my perspective, they were wonderful. But from her perspective, not so much. But you see, that's about accepting that each person is an individualization of the divine. If each person is an individualization of the divine, then shouldn't they be free to express? Now, within society, let me be clear, certain types of expression are not conducive to having a society. Let me put another caveat on there. You can freely express whoever you are. I don't want to point at any person. I'm going to point at that corner. You can express any way you want, and I'll accept you, and I'm not going to associate with you. Do you see that? You can turn away from that energy that's not like you. You don't have to stay in that energy that's not like you, because if you stay in the energy that's not like you, what are you doing? You're putting the box around yourself. Oh, dang, I never thought of that. Do you realize that most of the restraints that we have are self-put? We have put our own restraints. We are boxed in. Our freedom is taken away because of how we think about ourselves. We've got to start thinking of ourselves. Wait, I can do anything. I can be anything. If that person can do it, I can do it, because the same power that's responding to them is responding to me. Now, what are they doing? How are they doing it? How are they aligning their thoughts, words, actions, and feelings? And if I can find out that clue, Tony Robbins talks about that. He calls it modeling. He says, if you see someone succeeding in an aspect of life, start to model what they're doing. In other words, there's clues when people are successful at something. Why not take those clues, implement them in your life in your own unique way, and move forward towards your goal? Because your goal won't be exactly their goal. Your goal will be different than their goal. But if they've got clues to get there, if you know that a Rockefeller understands how to be rich, do you think maybe he has a clue as to what you might do to become rich? Yes. Why not follow that? So, okay, let me think about this. I could follow what Rockefeller says, or I can go get a financial advisor who's driving a 1972 Toyota and lives in an apartment, and God, that suit looks like it's been worn 1,000 times and it's not pressed. You see where I'm going? There are a lot of people that say they've got something for you, but if they're not demonstrating what they've got, they don't got it. You hearing me? You are demonstrating what you know. Everyone in this room right now is demonstrating what they know in relationships, with money, with health, with social activities, with careers. Everyone in this moment is demonstrating what they know. Now, if you're not happy with what you're demonstrating, then you've got to change what you know. You can't be tied into what you're locked into. You can't be tied into your feelings, your habits of thoughts, the way you see the world, because if you stay tied in, your world is not going to change. I said a mouthful, and that may have hurt. But realize as you change, be gentle with yourself. And realize that you change, it's a step-by-step process. And don't go setting an unrealistic goal. Don't think it's going to happen overnight because it's a gradual process of shifting. It's a gradual process of changing our mind, our feelings, our actions, and our thoughts. It's a gradual process. So we start right now, and we start the process. And we never give up on the process. We continue to do it. I call that a daily spiritual practice. That's the process of creating. We slow our minds down. We go into a state of meditation where we release the ego. We connect with something that is greater than us. Let's go there. This is what I love about meditation. Because once you really start going into that rabbit hole, you start asking the questions, whose body is this? Am I this body? Am I this body? Am I this person that's speaking these words? Am I this person that's feeling these feelings? Or is there something greater than me that has a body, that has feelings, that has thoughts, that's having these experiences? Whoa. That's going down the rabbit hole. And you see, when you go there, the ego doesn't want you to go there because the ego wants you to think it's the body and the mind right here. The small mind, not the big mind. But the divine in you knows better. Divine in you is the observer that you are that can watch you do all these things, that can separate itself from all the feelings and emotions and can observe what's going on and realize that that body, that mind that you have and those feelings are there like your sensory perception so that you can experience human form and observe it from a spiritual aspect, but you can't separate the two. It's just an aspect that the mind has no way of doing it other than to see separation. But so the observer is not separate from the mind. It's not separate from the body. It's not separate from the feelings, but it's connected to it because it is the cause of all of it. But the observer in us responds to the nature of how we're thinking in human form, so we have to choose how we think, feel, and act in human form, and then the observer observes something different. But the observer in us is the God presence, and it's not attached. Do you hear that? It is not attached to what we have. Only we're attached based on expectations that we built for ourselves. In most cases, it's unrealistic expectations that we built for ourselves. And it is in the unrealistic expectations, we realize it's so high we can't get to there. We start to rewire our brain as failures. We can't achieve it. And we go into a state of depression. And so we have more and more people in the world today going into depression because they have an unrealistic expectation. The realistic expectation should be, how can I, knowing who I am, use my unique gift in the world and today tell and serve more people than yesterday? That's the only expectation. Whew. I got to pause. When we really think and embody that I have an expectation to teach and support how to better self-love through conscious living. That's my only expectation. That's my expectation of myself, and it's also my gift to the world. So when I'm doing that in every moment, every day is a good day. And when you're doing that, here's the thing, when you know where you're going, you can't get enough new information. You can't have enough new experiences. You're always seeking more and discovering more and finding more. And then once you seek, discover, and find, now you want to demonstrate it. You want to bring it to the world. You want to test it. Because you got to test it before you can tell people about it, right? Because you don't really want to tell people until you've tested it. That's what I told my wife before I married her. We got to test this thing before we get married. And I'm not talking about that, you perverts. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about, can you accept me as I am? Can I accept you as you are? Because we forget that when we're dating, we go into infatuation. Infatuation means we see only the one side. We only see the good side. Oh, they're so adorable. You ever have a puppy? You have a puppy, the puppy's so damn cute. And the next minute it's lifting its leg. There's always both sides to the puppy. There's both sides to us. We're always in balance. There's always both sides. And so if we're going through change, we've got to realize that. We've got to realize, why is that person rebelling to my change? Oh, they're uncomfortable. I'm pushing them beyond their boundaries. Should I help them to understand better so that they can come along on this journey with me, or should I let them alone on their journey? You see, we have to be able to be sensitive enough to ask those questions, because this is a journey. Life is all about being a journey. That's all it is. The journey, though, is about you and me and everyone discovering who we truly are, and then being that in every moment that we can, and knowing that to be at 100% of the time, it's an unrealistic expectation. It's an unrealistic expectation. We're gonna fault. Sometimes I just want to sit on the couch and watch a little Seinfeld. I just don't want to think. And someone could criticize me and say, well, you should be more dedicated. Well, no, in this moment, I'm choosing consciously to just be dedicated to Seinfeld. Because what is Seinfeld about? Nothing. It's absolutely about nothing. And isn't that the purpose of meditation? So if I'm watching Seinfeld, is that not another meditation practice? And if I'm doing nothing, am I just being? And isn't being what they say you've got to be? And isn't watching nothing showing you the illusion of all the nonsense we face? Do you remember the soup Nazi? I mean, people were upset when the soup Nazi says, no soup for you. My God, go make your own soup. It's that simple. You see, we allow these little things, and it's quite interesting how we become so obsessed and how absurd we allow things to affect us. We allow someone's words to criticize us. Who gives a damn what someone says about you? The question is, if you give a damn what someone says about you, I want to ask the question, what are you saying about yourself? What are you saying about yourself that you give a damn what someone else says about you? Interesting question, isn't it? That's one of the 4 agreements. Don't take anything personally, because people are only saying things for their own benefit. They're never saying it to do something to someone else. They're only saying it for their own benefits. So when someone's striking out at you, it has nothing to do with you. There's something in them that they're upset with. They're frustrated with. The other day, I was in a situation and I was angry. And I realized I wasn't angry at the other person, I was angry at me because of the way I handled the situation. I should have known better. I didn't know better. Oh, great. I learned. I got to have that experience. I guess I'm not perfect. There's more to me to unfold and to unravel. You see, I immediately tried to switch it and go into gratitude. What can come to me? What can I learn from it? And when we can do that, all the emotion discharges. And we don't have the emotion, we can be the observer again. When we're the observer, we're that part of us that is the divine, that's unattached. So the key thing is embrace change and know that you're going to change. Not only are you going to change, but you're going to be a catalyst for change of everyone in your life. And it's not your job to make them happy. It's your job to be authentic, to be real, and to be present. Did you hear that? Authentic, real, and present. That's the gift you bring to the world. Because it's you. And you're already perfect. Let's pray. I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972 532-6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.